Welcome to One Spot Attractions, where we pick one spot at a Disney resort and talk about it.
Come along with us on a thrill ride like Space Mountain.
Or relax with us on a boat ride through Small World.
We will have all your favorites covered.
So bring your faith and trust.
And we will supply the pixie dust.
And we're off to One Spot Attractions. Hello and welcome to One Spot Attractions. We are your hosts. My name is Shelly.
And I'm Christy.
And we're going to be talking to you about some goofy gossip this morning, as well as visiting our one spot at the Disney parks and finishing up with some TTFN trivia. Our goofy gossip this morning is kind of a fun one, Christy. What do we have?
So, we are getting new shoulder banshees at Animal Kingdom Park.
For those of you that don't know what a Banshee is, that's the little flying, would you call them dragon birds from Avatar? The movie Avatar or Pandora land at Animal Kingdom. That's a little, you fly on it on Flight of Passage. That's what those are. It's like the little dragon birds.
Or just dragon. Dragons can fly. You don't need to call them dragon birds.
Yeah. I don't know why. They look kind of birdy to me. I don't know.
Yeah, so they're getting new shoulder banshees. 4 different colors. The original shoulder banshee has like a cord attached to it, and you have to do the remote with that cord. But with these new banshees, it's going to be wireless, and they will actually be able to interact with the other shoulder banshees as well as the little wrist banshees. So they will be able to interact. They're supposed to be able to also interact by the touch as well.
Okay.
And now there will be accessories. So you can accessorize your shoulder banshee by like a little headdress, a little like Navi, like beaded necklace thing, a thing to go on its back.
My daughter is going to be all over this. My son might too. Do you know how much they're going to put on these? They're not going to be cheap.
They're not going to be cheap. I would assume if they're not around the same price as the last shoulder banshee, it's going to be slightly higher. They didn't put a price, but like the original shoulder banshee was, I think, like $79.
Yeah, I was thinking they were $69 or $79. Mm-hmm.
They were, I think they ended up going on sale, or they lowered the price, but when they first came out, they were like around $79, but then they started lowering the price, and then also they had them on sale for a long time too.
I could see this going, my idea of this, I don't know if this is what they're going for, but over on Hollywood Studios, when you do the Droid Factory and you get the droids from Star Wars, they interact and have that technology that going around, depending on the loyalty you place on your droid, it will get excited if Kylo Ren comes around, either positively or negatively or stuff. I'm kind of wondering if that's kind of the model they're going for with the interaction on the land. I'll be very curious to see, but I assume that one of these will be adopted by our family on this next vacation.
Well, we have 2 of the wrist ones, and they interact. And we bought them, I think, last year.
So it's probably fair to say that the technology is going to get advanced, and it's going to probably, it's probably going to follow that same model.
Oh, and they glow in the black light and then the dark, so they have that bioluminescence thing going on too.
Which makes Pandora in general just gorgeous.
Oh, yes. Gorgeous. So these new banshees are going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think they're kind of a new souvenir edition, kind of a fun thing. And we're actually, our spot today, we're going to be staying at Animal Kingdom because we're going to be heading kind of farther into the park than Pandora, back to one of the very, very first attractions. There were only a few attractions when Animal Kingdom opened. And one of them, I always think of this as kind of the crown of Animal Kingdom, the Kilimanjaro Safari. So this one I like this one. I tend to think that this is a must-do for anybody who goes into the park.
Oh, yeah. For
Otherwise,
sure.
why are you going to Animal Kingdom?
Right?
So, for those of you guys that aren't aware of what this is the safari ride. So, you get on this ride, and it's going to take you on these special Disney bus jeeps out into the safari with real live animals. So, when you go to Animal Kingdom, yes, you can see some kind of throughout the park in different areas, but the mass amount of animals are going to be found on this attraction.
Yeah, and honestly, I like this version than the original version of the attraction.
Do you? Okay.
Well, I don't think the whole, like, I know poaching is a thing, but the original storyline to this attraction was you were going on this safari tour and a poacher, you gotta keep the eye out for the poachers. And then, like, throughout the ride, it was just like smooth sailing, and then you were still keeping your eye out for the poachers. But then the end of the ride took a very dark turn.
It did. But I also, so on this one in particular, I was 15 when this park opened. So I was very conscious of the world and 1990s poaching. Not that it's not a problem, it is still a huge problem in the world. But I feel like there was more of a magnifying glass on it back in that time era. And they were bringing a lot of like conservation. Animal Kingdom in general is a conservation station, right? In fact, that's one of the areas that they name there. But it's a big conservation push, but not just in deed, it's in information. And I feel like they hit the nail on the head here with this attraction, because you get onto it and you expect it to be all fun animals and everything. And at the end, there's an orphaned elephant, Little Red, because a poacher took out Mama. So it's kind of the whole, a lot of people still won't deer hunt because of Bambi, because you had such an emotional connection. It's supposed to bring a lot of awareness to the problem through emotion. And I think it definitely hit that. It may not have been always the feel they wanted to go for in Disney parks.
Right, but when they were doing like cast previews and stuff, they actually showed the mother dead.
Oh, geez. Okay.
And they actually had like the ranger out there with a gun, like a very realistic gun.
My, maybe a little too much. Yeah.
Yeah,
Dial
so
back.
that's the version I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
um so they took away the dead mom, like showing her. And then they also eventually, like, they kept the guy with the gun for a while, but they eventually got rid of him
Rid of
as
him.
well.
Yeah, it's turned more into just an educational tour of the African safari. This is the crown jewel of Africa, is the safari. So you're going through the African safari, and your tour guide in the Jeep is telling you about the real animals as you're driving through it. And they've got a lot of them. And so that always was in there. But then they had this kind of, as you're taking this safari, you got accidentally brought into a storyline because you were in the right place at the right time to scare these poachers off so they don't get Little Red. And at the end, Little Red, the little animatronic elephant, is in the back of a Jeep. And so you're like, yay, we saved Little Red. Yes, if you were able to put the points together enough, you're also like, wait, that means Big Red's no longer around. And I remember this at 15, being able to place it together and being like, that's really, really sad. And starting to educate myself kind of on zoology and conservation and stuff. And at one point in college, my mother was just about to have a heart attack because I came to her after being involved in the education program to be a teacher. And I'm like, I think I want to go into zoology. She's like, what? And a lot of that just came from Animal Kingdom really pushing animal conservation and me feeling like I really needed to do something about it. So they, it did have a powerful message. This attraction is really Walt's dream. He was so into animals and everything. And this is what our last episode was Jungle Cruise. And we talked about how Walt wanted real animals in it, but that really wasn't doable in 1955 in Anaheim to have real African animals walking around the theme park. They made it work for Animal Kingdom, and his dream is alive and well and flourishing there.
Oh, yes. And this is like my favorite ride, and the best time to go on this ride is seriously right away in the morning.
Yeah.
And at night, right before it closes, because the animals know it's dinner time, it's time to go in, so they're active, or when it's raining.
I've heard about the rain. The rain brings out a lot of playful behavior in
Oh,
the
yes.
animal.
I have a video of the giraffe with the zoomies because, oh my goodness, like it was like,
Like a
whoo,
little kitten
whoo. And
zipping
I'm
around.
like, and even our cast member who was driving was just like, I have never seen him do that before.
It's raining. Like a 4-year
Yeah,
old in rain boots outside.
pretty much. And I was just like, whoa. And like, it actually ran like to the truck in front of us. It like ran right at it and then did a quick turn. So those people had like probably,
Prime viewing.
yeah, or they were like, whoa, stop.
If you
So,
haven't been on this attraction, it is like an open air Jeep, big vehicle, big diesel vehicle. And you're up higher so you can see things, but they are functioning vehicles in the fact that how long your safari takes is going to be based on how the animals are behaving, because they are given permission to slow down to see things, but they have to stop for when they walk in front of them. And we've had it, why is it always the giraffes? The giraffes stop smack dab in front and just hang out there and look and just be like, oh, okay. And the tour guide's like, so we're just gonna wait for them to move on. And another one came over and maybe 6 feet from the vehicle, so they're right there
yeah.
walking
And
around.
I swear they're like trained to do that. And the reason I'm saying this is because they're like, if I block traffic, someone's gonna drive over here and coax me away with food.
With food. Yes,
So they're gonna do that on purpose.
they have these trees that kind of look like they're upside down trees, but they're like an African tree. They're not real in Orlando because they wouldn't make it there. But they have cameras, and they also have feeding stations in them to kind of positively encourage them to go to different areas, like closer to the guests or out of the front of the way of the truck. Like, both can be true. I do
Yes.
think that they're very clever with the way they control their animals in general.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
because like when you're going from one area of the safari to the next, they actually have these chains that
Yes,
are
the
lined
cattle
up
rope.
on the ground because the animals don't want to step in between there because they'll trip.
Yep. Yeah, they do. As you drive through the safari, you would have no clue that there are barriers. It looks like the cheetah can just take off and run after the giraffe, and it can't. It's not allowed to do that. There is trenches and there's water and there's different features they put in cement walls to keep them, but you cannot see it from the safari. So it doesn't break the illusion of being on a actual safari.
Yeah.
But their training of the animals is unmatched, like unbelievable, with kind controlling. And I love is it One Day at Animal Kingdom? Is that the series on Disney Plus where you watch the
I think it's just called Animal Kingdom.
and you've got, yeah, the cast members talk about like the birds and working with the birds. And there's always, in every classroom, there's the one kid. Apparently, in every flock of birds, there's that one bird that doesn't do what they're supposed to. Or I was watching one of the episodes where they were trying to just teach a giraffe to put their foot up for like a
Yeah.
hook trim, and how much patience and time that just saints.
Oh, yeah. And it's amazing that like each animal has a different sound.
Yes,
that
the
they're trained to
calling.
hear
Yeah.
to come in for the night.
I wrote those down because I think they're very interesting. They do put some of them in at night. They don't put them all in at night. But there's Animal Kingdom is massive. The attraction is huge. The park is even bigger, and you don't see a whole lot of the backstage areas where the animals go to sleep at night and get their care, and they're quite pampered, right? So the hippos come into a triangle. The elephants come into drums. The giraffes come into a cowbell. The zebras come into a sports whistle. Hooved animals come into a horn. The gazelles come into a duck call. And this one was the most interesting that I saw. For the crocodiles, they actually bring the crocodiles in at night. And it's a metal bar struck underwater. And that tells them it's food time. That's their, the hippos got it right. That's the triangle for it's dinner time and bedtime.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's amazing what they do with these animals for sure. And like I just love how it is like free roaming.
yes, it is as close to natural living as an animal in captivity can probably come.
Yeah.
And while still allowing for an awful lot of medical care, they have a lot of veterinary care. They do a lot of checkups. I've seen a tiger get an ultrasound, which is kind of cool because they have a little area back in Rafiki's Planet Watch. Sometimes you can see them doing care. So that's kind of neat. And yeah, I think, yeah, they do everything except for let them eat each other.
Yeah. Thank goodness for that one. Otherwise, it would be a whole different safari.
Well, and it has had its problems. They had a couple, was it zebras that ran into each other? Which two animals? There was a couple that collided just running around out. They've had, unfortunate events happen just because animals will be animals and you can't protect them from everything.
Right.
I don't, was it zebras? What was it? Do you remember?
It was a zebra, but it wasn't at the park. It was actually at the hotel.
It was at Animal Kingdom Lodge.
Yeah.
Okay. I do remember seeing news lines about that. And I'm like, oh, it's so sad. And then lots of gossip of they should have prevented it and stuff. And it's like,
You can't always prevent it though.
you can't prevent accidents. That's why they're called accidents.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there was a quality control debrief on this where they looked at it to say, what can we do to prevent this? Was there anything that we can change to keep it from happening again? But yeah, it's the nature of having a lot of animals, with different care needs. So they make it look easy, but it's not perfect.
Right. They get spooked and then stuff happens. That's like if someone came up behind you and scared you and you're just like, and you whack them because they scared you. You didn't mean to do it, but they scared you. It's just stuff like that happens. And then sometimes it's worse than the reaction is worse than no reaction. So yeah. But I mean, again, like I think the best time with me going on this ride or this attraction is like the morning because and Shelly has information about this, but like the lions always are roaring in the morning. Always. They got so much to say.
They have the worst roar. If you've ever heard an actual lion, not a Hollywood lion, because Hollywood lions usually use a tiger roar for them because the lion roar is it's awkward. You can hear them for a long time. Yeah, it's more of a groan. It's not like MGM's lion roar at all. That's a tiger that's doing the roar with the lion's face. Yeah, and we are going to be losing the two lions that are currently at Pride Rock and this attraction. I don't know how old they are, but they've been there since at least 1998. They are going to be retiring them to a conservation location in Florida. So they are going to just move on with the next chapter of their life. These were the lions that were used for the live action Lion King movie. They use them as the models for that. So they're a celebrity in their own right, but they are going to be retiring. The good news is once they do retire and they've moved on, they're going to be bringing in a new young male and 2 new young females. So yes, 2 are retiring, but we're getting 3 in return. So that will be fun to kind of watch these young ones grow and come into their own little personalities.
They better be just as talkative. I just love going on that ride right away when I get there and go on there because they're always talking, and I just think it's funny because they're talking back and forth to each other. So it's like they're having a conversation. It's like, what are you saying?
They're talking about how their night went. Being a
They're
good
like,
married
we're out
couple.
here again. There's those people. Let's.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite animal from the safari? Like one that you think is the best to look at, or you get excited when you see those guys?
I would say the white rhino.
You like the white rhino?
Well, just because. Okay, so this is kind of part of Safari Trek, but it's totally separate at the same time. So they have a separate attraction. You got to pay for it. It's called Safari Trek.
Yes.
I've done this 2 times.
These are like high adventure.
Yeah, and I would totally pay for it again. Totally worth it. It's like having your own private safari, but these white rhinos, they're like puppies. They're like little puppies with horns. So,
And I get the rhinos mixed up, but is this the species that does not have any rhinos left in the wild? They're only in conservation. Is that the white rhino?
I believe so.
So it's really important for that conservation too.
Yeah, and these white rhinos, I have a video of them just like coming and walking straight to my row of the truck and just like stop. They like kind of did their like, hey, I see you. And like, yeah, like, sup, hi. And then walk away. And they like did it one at a time.
Oh, they took turns.
Yeah, they
Very
like,
polite of
and
them.
I was just like, they came to say hi to me. But like even on the safari truck, like if you're on the safari truck, you'll see in the middle of the safari like a boma. That's what they're called. It's like the little hut. And you stop there to have like a little lunch or a breakfast or whatever on your tour, and you stay there for a little bit, and the animals can go straight up to that. I mean, you're high up, but like they will come straight up to that. And the very first time I was on that safari track, like the rhinos did like the same thing. They like came up and they're like, I know you're up there. Hi. Like we just came to say hi and now we're on our way.
Yeah,
And it's
curious.
just like, it was just like so cool.
I like the cheetah, and my family typically goes in the winter months because living in Wisconsin, I like to thaw out a little bit over winter. But for whatever reason, they're rather elusive when we're there. So I've only seen the cheetah a handful of times, and you said you see it every single time you go. So that one's exciting for me because it should be visible more. So I'm taking it kind of personally. But yeah, I get very excited when I see the cheetah because I don't see it very often.
Yeah, even the last time I was on it, like a couple days ago, that they were very active walking around.
You're going to need to send me some video because yeah, I have not had that experience.
Yeah. Every time I've been to Animal Kingdom lately, all the cats are very active. Every time I go to like the tigers and the Maharaja trek, they're always talking. I was having a conversation with them. It was fun.
This is such a great attraction to go to if you have an animal lover. If you're at Animal Kingdom, you need to do this. This is definitely the crown of Animal Kingdom because it encompasses everything that park is supposed to be. It really brings Walt's ideas and dreams into reality, and they did it in such a wonderful way. And then to have the education piece, and then Rafiki's Planet Watch, where you can get more information, and to have tours, they just keep expanding,
Oh
what
yeah.
it is.
And if you're there at the right time, like there's so many educators at the Rafiki's Planet Watch. And like it's so cool to see them actually like giving an animal an exam.
Yes. That was the ultrasound. They shaved the belly and you could see the stripes on the skin. So she's pregnant and they were ultrasounding her. It was neat.
Yeah, the most interesting fact I got from an educator at that building was kind of a gross one.
All
One
right,
that I
let's hear
didn't ask for, but I was just like, that will never leave my brain ever now.
Okay, and now you have to share.
So they were like, we feed the elephants coffee beans so that they ferment, and then they dig them out.
Oh, there's
And the
like a
drop
little
beans.
there's a mammal of some sort that there is a certain type of coffee that is exactly what it is. It's a gourmet coffee, and that's exactly
Yeah.
the process it goes through. Not an elephant, it goes through a smaller animal. Yeah, I don't even know what they are, but
Yeah, but this was back in 2014 when this cast member said it to me, and I will never forget it. Me and my husband will never forget it because we were like, I don't know if I can drink coffee for a while.
maybe a little bit too much information.
I'm like, I didn't ask for that information.
Well, I have some good trivia for you that, is not stat related, I guess. It could be. They did used to sell candies and foods that looked like scat at Animal Kingdom. I'm kind of glad
Yeah.
they aren't doing a whole bunch of that anymore, because that was pretty gross.
Yeah. Yeah. Mind over matter. Mind over matter.
Yeah. Okay. Well, my first question is kind of it's a big one.
Oh.
How big is Kilimanjaro Safari, the attraction?
Are we talking about miles or what can fit in it?
We are talking about acreage.
Oh, I'm like, I don't know acreage, but I know that Magic Kingdom can fit inside.
It can. Yep. So it's 110 acres. And Magic Kingdom is only 107. So they could pick all of Magic Kingdom up and just put it in this attraction. This is such a massive attraction. Yeah.
That is crazy.
How we talked a little bit about this. Can you name any of the ways that Disney contains their animals in their ecosystems? So on the safari, how do they keep the cheetah from grabbing a zebra?
Oh.
To give it a hug.
Well, for the cheetah, there's like a ditch, a canyon.
Yep, they have trenches.
And you can barely see it, but eventually, like, you can see like a little barbed wire. Just in case they make it.
And they have cattle guard chains as well in there. Camo walls. So not just trenches built down, but they do build things up as well. So those are all hidden ways to control them. So that cheetah, you might be able to see the zebras from where you are. The cheetah may not be able to, but that cheetah is definitely not going to be able to access it. And Pride Rock, where the lions are, the entire thing around it is a huge trench. They cannot get across there. So
yeah, and like the hippos and elephants, because they can go in the water. They actually like close to us in the water, there's like these metal bars so that they can't climb out.
Yeah,
but you can't see it because it's underwater.
Yeah, and they dye their water to kind of hide some of those features as well. I love this one. This is probably my favorite piece of trivia on this. We talked about those lions on Pride Rock. When they first came to Florida, they had a little discomfort, so they had to add to Pride Rock. What do they have at Pride Rock for the lions' comfort?
It can cool down and heat up.
Yeah, they had to. When they first got there, they were overheating. Imagine overheating in Florida when you come from Africa. But yeah, they put in AC, and then they do have heating ability. They keep them as comfortable as possible.
Well, the lions that are currently there, they actually came from a colder zoo.
Did they? Do you
Yeah,
know where they
so
came from?
I think Oregon? Oregon?
And they've been there a while. Number of species that are represented in this attraction, not at Animal Kingdom, just in this attraction.
Oh man.
Just give an estimate.
20.
More.
30.
Just a little more.
35.
34. Although it did say over 34.
Okay.
And I'm like,
over 34. So
you should
35.
know exactly how many animals are on there. But I'm thinking, okay, so do sometimes those birds, when they take off, do sometimes they land in Kilimanjaro Safari? And then they're like, oh, there's the 35th one.
Yeah, right.
Because they
If
do
you see a macaw, he's not supposed to be there.
to be there. They got a name for the one that kept going the wrong way. If you haven't seen this series on Disney Plus, you should watch it. It's wonderful. How long is the current version of this attraction? How long from the time you board the vehicle? And this is approximate because these are actually driven by the cast members, so they can slow down and they can speed up based on the animal's behavior and how their guests are doing.
Right. I was gonna say it could average. But I would say about 20 minutes.
It is. And that's what they put as the average is 20 minutes. So it is a longer attraction. You know, most of our attractions at Disney in general are 2 to 3 minutes long, maybe 5 if you're lucky. Jungle Cruise is at 10, Safari's at 20. So it's a wonderful commitment, you know, to take the time to do it. It's worth your time.
Like the same length as Carousel of Progress.
Yeah, which is also worth your time. So, well, that's what we have for you today. Get out there, say bye to the lions if you're out there in the next little bit here. Wish them well on their next chapter of life here. Buy a Banshee and interact with it because that sounds really fun.
Let us know how they are.
Yeah. So I will be very curious. And we will catch up with you next week with another One Spot.
Yeah, and thanks for sharing the magic.
Bye.
Bye.